What's up everybody, Mr. Mirror here, and today we're probably in our last video maybe that I'm going to show off here of the basic GitHub Git. We talked about Git a little bit last time. GitHub Git, GitHub Classroom process setup. At the end of the video, we'll see where we are and if I need to do any more. But the goal for this video is quickly showing off what the process is when a student accepts the assignment so that you guys can kind of walk them through it. This is why I recommend that you also have a tester account for yourself, because then you can walk through this process yourself so you can have a better understanding when you're writing up instructions, giving students help, things like that. I usually make videos like this that show off to students what to do, how they accept assignments through Schoology, the LMS that they use, and how everything works on there. So, you know, it'll be similar to those videos that the students see that I will be showing you guys today. And if students are watching this, then you get to see it twice. But we're going to start with, so you can see that the fake account, the tester account, has joined the organization. So they're in here so that they can get the correct stuff. And I'm going to start by getting the link. I'm just going to use the second asig one because that was the one that was up on the tab. I never closed out of it. So we're just going to use that one. I'm going to copy the assignment there. And then I paste this URL, or I send this URL to students. This is what they need to accept it. So I'm going to switch over to Chrome, and we're going to be going back and forth between Chrome and Firefox in this video, showing what the students see, what the teacher sees. I probably don't want to put the windows side by side. I'll think about it as I go through to do it. I'd rather give full attention to each individual part instead of side by side. So I'm going to switch to Chrome, and in Chrome here, the students would just actually click on the link and they would sign in with their account. And I actually forget, I think I did. I was going to say, I forget what account was in the organization. So students, the very first thing students would get was that authorization screen. Students would need to authorize GitHub Classroom to use their GitHub account, just like we saw when I was setting up the demo account originally with GitHub Classroom, just like you had to do in video 2 or whatever when you first joined GitHub Classroom. You have to authorize it to use GitHub. Once they do that, then they will be taken to the screen. This is where they select what name they are. This is when they select who they are on the roster. I'm just going to select this one. Yeah, cool, Chrome. Thanks for the pop-up. I guess that pops up on Firefox. Like I said, it's been a while since I've done demo testing here. Except, so once the student only has to select who they are once. Every other time they click on a link after that first time, they will be taken to that page where they have the green accept button. And then they click accept. It does that process that we just saw there. And then this is their repository. So they can click on this link and it takes them to their own GitHub repository version, whatever you want to call it, of your starter file or whatever file that you gave them as starter code, if you gave them starter code. I actually don't know what it does if you don't give them starter code. I guess it's something that we could look at if there's enough time at the end of the video, if it's not running, 13 minutes or whatever. But this is what they see. Back on your end, I'm going to switch back to Firefox. In the organization, so here we are back in Firefox. In the organization, if I refresh, I'm going to see that student repository. So you would see every student's repository who accepted that assignment, and then you would see every student's repository who accepted the next assignment. I can go in here and I can see everything that they have in their repository, any changes they make, any code they submit, any issues that they create, project boards that they create. I can see all of that. The pull request is set up automatically because we check that make pull requests for feedback. So that's kind of set up automatically. So I can click on pull request and I can click on feedback, and I have this initial setup here. Now this is where the auto grading, this part down here is the auto grading part. If you had set that up, it would be running the test and saying if the student side is passing or failing those tests. So actually I'm going to leave it on, we'll stay on this page on the teacher side, and I'm going to switch back over to Chrome now for the students. So on the student side, they would see the repository. Oh, okay, I need to go into the Java file here. Now, normally the students I would tell the students, actually, let's take a step back here. I would tell the students to clone. So the students would go to code, they would clone this repository into their IDE. So grab this link, do the clone process. If you have access to GitHub Classroom on the student laptops, computers, whatever, they can do it through there. But I usually have them just clone directly in the IDE using the URL. So I wouldn't have them do the code on GitHub. It's just not clean. It's just not nice. It's a lot easier if they're typing it in the IDE and add, commit, and push, because that's the process, the Git process that I want them to start understanding, because Git is more than just GitHub. Git's the system. GitHub's a tool that uses it, but Git, the process of Git, add, commit, push, log, all that kind of stuff, status, they are universal. Whether you're using GitHub, GitLab, Bitbucket, etc., those techniques the Git commands are universal. I'm not going to go through the whole process of the IDE stuff. I'm just going to do it in GitHub here as a poor example. So the student would then, type in their changes that they want to make. So system.out.println, Mr. Mira, and then they would commit those changes and push back up to GitHub. They would be doing the pushing. So they would push back up to GitHub. It would come up here with their push. And then I could see, so this is a student. The student's now done the assignment. Going to switch back to Firefox. And on here, I can see the commit. Now, again, if I had auto grading set up, it would be running the test telling me if they passed or not, but I can see their commits. So I go to commits and I can see that their most updated commit here, or I could go to file changes and I can see, okay, well, what did they change between the initial one and the newest commit? So what did they change between the last commit and this commit that they just pushed? And I can see, okay, they put their name here and I can write a comment directly on this line of code. This is why I love this feedback option that got enabled on GitHub Classroom recently, because I can highlight the line of code. I can highlight multiple lines of code if I want to. I can select, a block of code. So let me see, I can do, that's probably not going to let me do it. Oh yeah, it does. So I can select those 3 lines to write one single comment on. I could select this line and this line to write individual comments on. So, I can highlight a student's line of code and say, great job here. Have you thought about only using print instead of println? Why or what is the difference between the two? So you can ask them more questions on here. You can give them more specific feedback. I've given students more specific feedback, ask them to think about things. So I can add a single comment or start a review. I usually start a review depending on the case of what happens. So for this, we'll just add a single comment. And the student then gets an email to whatever email address that they're signed up with on GitHub. They get an email that shows my comment and the line that I'm talking about, and they can reply directly in that email and I will see the reply here. Or if I switch back to Chrome, the student can go to the pull request and the feedback, and the student can see the feedback right here on the conversation of the main page here. The student can see the feedback if they go to file changes, if they go to their commits. Yeah. Okay, if they go to their commit, I didn't realize that one. But yeah, there's a lot of different places that the student can see the feedback and they can say, they can go, okay, +1, the difference is the new line placed at the end or whatever, they can comment back, they can have a conversation with you, they can comment back, and then they can resolve the conversation or you can resolve it. So if they're like, okay, I'm done. So, I made those changes or those suggestions, it doesn't go away. Right? It just minimizes it. It doesn't go away and they can unresolve. So if I go back to Firefox, it shows me that it was marked as resolved by the student. So I can say okay, what did they actually say here? Or I can see it in the conversation marked as resolved, and I can unresolve the conversation myself if we need to have more or whatever. But yeah, I love this new feature, right? This new feature, even if you're not using auto grading, is amazing for feedback because the fact that you can highlight individual lines, you can start conversations, so incredible that this is now automated and it's not a huge process to go through to set up the automatic pull request when the repository is first created and stuff like that. The fact that you just check the box on GitHub Classroom is amazing. That's why I strongly recommend that you always check that box now. I wish it was checked by default, so in case you forget it, it kind of messes stuff up if students start accepting. But anyways, enough rambling there. What else were we going to say? I forget if we were going to do anything else with this. It's probably going to be in the audio and I just forgot because I remember saying something. But anyways, that's all that I really wanted to show off in these videos. If there are specifics that you still want to see, let me know. Reach out to me, comment, reach out to me for wherever you found the video. If it's on a forum or something, comment on there, comment on the video itself. If you want to see automated testing, if you want to see issues is a great thing. Project boards are a great thing. More with the feedback changes, more complex repository setup where you have folder structures and stuff like that possibly instead of just everything in one file or whatever you want to see. If there's more that you want to see with this process, let me know and I'll make some other videos or try to put some ideas together and make some other videos to help ease this process for anybody that's still struggling with it. But I really wanted to make these videos here to kind of just show off the very basics of getting up and running. And then I think it's really just a matter of testing it out with yourself. Use your demo tester accounts, try to set up different accounts and things like that to see what the students see what you see, and just mess around with it to figure out what you can. That would be my best advice here to end. But yeah, I will gladly make other videos if people wish to see other videos or stuff like that. So until that time or whatever, everybody have a week.